I'm the villainess in this story. Everyone in this wealthy, elite family adored my poor, fragile adopted sister. My older brother Damien would snap. Don't scare Bella. Her weak heart can't take it. My other brother, Magnus, would add, lend Bella your nightgown, alright? It's wasted on you. Even my fiancé said, this is nothing more than a marriage of convenience. My true love has always been Bella. In my last life, I humbled myself endlessly to please them. What did I receive in return? They sent me to a mental asylum. Then I came back to life. On the day of my engagement party, a voice echoed in my mind and made its announcement. Madness reward system has chosen you. Any unhinged behavior will earn rewards worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I grinned and sent the pompous 10-tier cake crashing to the floor. I'm done with this shitty family. The banquet hall erupted, cream and fillings bursting outward and splattering every unfortunate soul within reach. Damien was the first to calm. He stormed toward me and lifted his hand. What the hell? Have you lost your mind? You could have scared Bella to death. In my last life, I would have collapsed to my knees, sobbing and begging him not to hit me. I would have sworn I never meant any harm. But now a sweet, almost angelic computerized voice chimed inside my head. 3-star madness reward $15 million. My phone vibrated. I glanced at the screen. Oh, sweet lord. I caught Damien's wrist, yanked it aside with all my strength. He followed through with a sharp slap across his face, the hardest I had ever delivered. The crowd gasped. Damien stared at me in disbelief. Did you just hit me? Already lost a few brain cells from the impact. I sneered and shook my hand to chase away the numbness. Let this remind you who I am, dumbass. I'm the true heiress of the Blanc family. I wasn't adopted like Bella. So why the hell is she wearing my engagement dress? 4-star madness. Reward $30 million. Touching. The rush was intoxicating, and so was the sudden jump in my bank balance. Magnus hurried over, brushing past Gabriel Black along the way. He spared the would-be groom no attention, and draped his coat around Bella Summers. If she had just survived a major trauma, that was completely uncalled for. Marceline, he shouted. The only thing Bella did wrong was admire your dress. What's so terrible about sharing with your little sister? You don't even wear styles like this. Why waste it on you? Just let her have it, please. How could it not be my style, when I was the one who flew all the way to the fashion capital of Paris to have it custom made? The process had taken 3 months and cost $1 million. Just before the party began, it vanished. Where else could it have gone? I marched up to Bella and fixed her with a hard stare. Did you just call it a waste on me? She shifted uneasily in Magnus' arms, eyes rimmed red.
I'm sorry, Marcy.
I didn't know you'd be this upset. I thought it was the prettiest dress I've ever seen, and I only wanted to try it on. I'll take it off right now. She reached for the zipper as if she meant to undress on the spot. If she actually did it, the resulting scandal would be something the Blanc family could never recover from. Just as I expected, Gabriel held her hand and glared at me. When are you going to stop these hysterics, Marceline? Why are you acting like a madwoman? Over something as trivial as a dress? He growled. Look at her. Don't tell me you still haven't realized it. The dress looks better on her than it ever could on you. Damien finally regained his composure and sneered. He's right. Like you. Bella actually knows how to behave. Like an heiress from an elite family. I laughed. Then I laughed harder until tears streamed down my cheeks. So this was my family. This was my husband. I had died like a dog in my last life. For this dead of douchebags. I grabbed a bottle of red wine. You love this dress so much. Then take it. I slammed the neck of the bottle against the edge of the table and shattered it. Wine cascaded over Bella, soaking the dress and ruining her makeup. She shrieked. My eyes. It hurts. Magnus and Gabriel rushed her side to clean her up. Meanwhile, Damien raised his fist as if he were asserting dominance. You're asking for it, he shouted. I stepped back and tiptoed over the champagne tower. Beside me, the crisp, jaunty crash of expensive glasses shattering across the floor sounded like music. Damien froze and retreated from the spreading carpet of glass shards, along with several others. I stood amid the wreckage and pointed at these so-called heroes. This is nothing more than a marriage of convenience to you, isn't it, Gabriel? Fine, have each other as much as you want. Unlike you all, I don't mistake trash for gourmet food. There's no better match than a dog and his bitch. I turned to my brothers. As for you two simps,
Why
don't you make Bella your sister and your heiress instead? Then you can lick her heels to your heart's content. I faced the stunned crowd. From this moment on, I am cutting all ties with the Blanc family. I declared. Fuck this. Fuck this family. I kicked away what remained of the cake. and strode toward the front door, as if the place belonged to me. The crowd stared in stunned silence, and my father's voice echoed. "Stand right there, Marceline. If you walk out that door, I swear to God you won't get a single cent from this family. I'll cancel every goddamn card you have. Let's see how long you last living like a peasant." I halted and turned back, flashing him my brightest smile. "Yes, yes, yes. Freedom from your filthy money."
Thank God. Why would I need their money, anyway?
When I had the madness reward system, I could make millions in the blink of an eye. Bitches. Throwing a fit against the blinks and severing your ties with them. 5-star madness reward $150 million. First quest has been completed. Rewards for completing the newbie challenge. An ultra-luxury apartment in the heart of the city. And a luxury car parked outside the hotel. My heels echoed through the silent banquet hall as I walked toward my freedom, without sparing anyone a glance. A blazing red sports car waited outside. I reached into my purse and found the keys already inside. The missus had already set the coordinates to my new home, followed the directions, and drove straight toward Paradiso Castle. Paradiso Castle was the most expensive property in the entire city. Having enough money did not guarantee the right to buy it, which only proved how absurdly generous the missus truly was. I stood behind a 600-square-yard floor-to-ceiling window, gazing at the city's nightscape, while red wine sloshed gently in my glass. I had never felt more at peace in my last life. I must have been genuinely brain dead to believe they would love me, simply because I obeyed every command. Oh, I was so loved. I turned my phone over and braced myself for the flood of messages and missed calls. "Where the hell are you, my dear mother?" Lucy shrieked in a voice message, her voice sharp enough to pierce stone. "Get your ass back here and apologize to Bella now. Do you have any idea how much shame you brought on us today?" Poor Bella hasn't stopped crying. Damien's text followed soon after. "Damien? Running out of money already? Now that Dad terminated your cards? Once you finally get tired of starving yourself, you can come back on your knees and beg for forgiveness. We might consider mercy if you show enough sincerity. And finally, Gabriel. Gabriel. Enough with your theatrics, Marceline. You embarrass me today, but I am willing to be magnanimous. Come to my office tomorrow, and I may consider not canceling our marriage." I stared at the screen and laughed. Look at all these clowns. I truly believe I am homeless and penniless, just because I left the blanks. I sent a photo to Damien showing a small glimpse of my bank balance. $10 million give or take. I added a caption. "Call me mommy, and maybe I'll buy you a wife." Then I blocked his number. Next was Gabriel. I sent him a voice message. "I've always been curious about something. Are you actually impotent? One would think Bella would have stopped being a virgin by now, given how often you two are together. Instead, she looks like she's wilting. Satisfied?" I blocked him as well. Finally, Lucy's turn arrived. "Stop screaming into the void. Just pretend I died, and move on with your life. After all, the only one you ever needed was Bella, right? I was just an accessory. May you all live like royalty during the revolution, with lives as long as the space newspapers reserve for obituaries." I blocked the last number. Silence reclaimed the world, delivering emotional damage to family. 3-star madness rewards $7 million. Collapsed onto my Utalia. Genuine leather couch inside in contentment. Making money really was not that hard. Still, it was not enough. The next morning, the doorbell dragged me out of sleep. I peered through the peephole and saw Magnus. How the hell did he find out I lived here? Of course, he was a hacker. Tracking my phone would have been effortless for him. There was no reason to rush. I brushed my teeth and washed my face at my own unhurried pace, and opened the door. He looked livid. "How the hell did you get in here? Where did you get all this money? What is this place, a rental?" His eyes narrowed with suspicion. "Don't tell me you debased yourself and sold your body, just to get a pathetic edge over us? Marceline, how else could you afford this place after Dad terminated your cards?" I leaned against the door and yawned. "Man, your language. You kiss Bella's boo-boo with that mouth? Marceline."
Magnus smiled.
He drew a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. "Come home with me. Bella has been running a high fever since last night. She keeps calling for you and says she feels guilty. Mom and Dad are worried sick. Go back, apologize, and we'll treat all of this as water under the bridge." I narrowed my eyes and let a slow grin spread across my face. Fever? Oh, the Lord really does punish injustice. Has it started eating away at the pitiful number of brain cells she has left? You know, you could always institutionalize her. In that mental asylum you were scouting for me. In my last life, my dear, family had forcibly institutionalized me for being hysterical and aggressive. It had been pure torment. Magnus' face darkened. What the hell are you talking about? Since when did you turn into such a dish rag? Marceline? Bella is one of the kindest, purest girls I've ever met. How could you curse her like that?
Kind? Pure?
I snorted. What kind of pure soul tries to steal her sister's fiancé? What kind of pure soul steals her sister's engagement dress? Agnes, are you slow? That's not what happened. Bella was just…
Kenneth.
I don't care. I snapped. You just want me back. So Bella can have her unwitting blood donor cattle, right? Well, not a snowball's chance in hell. Magnus warded and lunged for my shoulders. You fucking bitch. I tried playing nice. But you keep forcing my hand. Dad made it clear that if you're not back by today, you're dead to all of us. Before I could strike back, a mechanized voice rang inside my head. Quick, quest unlocked. Let Magnus Blanc get a taste of free fall. Reward 51% of Lumos Enterprises stocks. Lumos was the largest business empire in the city. Gabriel's company barely qualified as a warm-up act. Beside that juggernaut, I grabbed Magnus by the arm and flipped him over my shoulder. It took almost no effort. Magnus was the type who lived behind a computer screen. A basement-dwelling nerd with the physique of a couch potato. He hit the floor with a hard slam and let out a groan. I seized his leg and dragged him toward the balcony. Marceline! He screamed and struggled in vain. What do you think you're doing? Have you lost your mind? Magnus shrieked, his voice cracking into an embarrassing, prepubescent pitch. His fingers clawed frantically at the imported mahogany floorboards, leaving pathetic little scratch marks, but my grip on his ankle was like iron. Lost my mind, I mused, tilting my head as I dragged him effortlessly onto the sweeping, open-air terrace. The morning wind whipped my hair around my face. Below us lay a dizzying, 60-story drop to the bustling streets of the city. Magnus, my sweet, slow-witted brother. I haven't lost my mind. I've just found my calling. I hauled him up by his designer collar. He was trembling now, his pale, tech-nerd complexion turning a sickly shade of green. Marceline, stop, he begged, his eyes darting wildly over the glass railing. We can talk about this. If you don't want to give blood today, fine. Just let me go. Oh, I'll let you go. I smiled, a bright, terrifying thing. I grabbed him by the belt and the scruff of his neck. With a surge of adrenaline that felt almost supernatural, I hoisted him entirely over the glass balustrade. Magnus didn't even scream at first. The sheer terror seemed to have paralyzed his vocal cords. He dangled in the open air, a 60-story plummet beneath his handmade Italian leather loafers. My hands were the only things keeping him from becoming a modern art installation on the pavement below. Marceline.
Please.
I'm your brother, he finally wailed, tears streaming down his face, snot bubbling from his nose. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about the dress. I'm sorry about Gabriel. You're not sorry, Magnus. You're just scared. I leaned over the edge, looking down at him. Do you know what the worst part of my last life was? It wasn't the blood loss. It wasn't Gabriel cheating. It was that you all looked at me like I was something scraped off the bottom of your shoe, while I would have jumped out of a plane without a parachute just to make you smile. I don't know what you're talking about. Last life. Don't worry about it, I whispered, my voice chillingly calm. Just enjoy the flight. I let go. Magnus' scream tore through the morning air, a raw, primal sound of absolute agony and terror. He plummeted. 1 story. 2 stories.
Splash.
A tremendous eruption of water echoed up to my balcony. I leaned over the glass and peered down. Right below my penthouse, jutting out on the 58th floor, was the neighbor's reinforced glass-bottomed infinity pool. Magnus had slammed right into the center of it, thrashing and choking on chlorinated water, looking like a drowned, miserable rat. He was perfectly safe, albeit severely bruised and traumatized for the rest of his miserable life.
Ding.
Quest completed. Let Magnus Blanc get a taste of free fall. Reward: 51% ownership of Lumos Enterprises. Legal documents, stock certificates, and full transfer of authority have been placed in the host's study. Total net worth increase: undefined/limitless. Bonus madness points awarded: $50 million transferred to your offshore account. I breathed in the crisp morning air, closing my eyes. The rush of dopamine was electric. I turned back into my penthouse, leaving Magnus coughing and sobbing in a stranger's pool. Time to get to work. By 10 a.m., I was a different woman. Gone was the desperate, eager-to-please Marceline Blanc. I stood in front of my floor-to-ceiling mirror, wearing a sharp, blood-red blazer, tailored black trousers, and stilettos sharp enough to puncture a jugular. My lips were painted a vicious crimson. I picked up the thick leather folder resting on my study desk. Inside were the indisputable documents proving I was now the majority shareholder of the city's apex predator, Lumos Enterprises. Lumos wasn't just a company. It was the lifeblood of the city. Gabriel's family business, Black Corp, relied entirely on Lumos's supply chains. The Blanc family's wealth was heavily tied up in joint ventures funded by Lumos Capital. Whoever controlled Lumos controlled my abusers. My chauffeur, provided by the system, was waiting downstairs in a matte black Rolls-Royce. To Lumos headquarters, I ordered, slipping into the back seat. The drive was a blur of towering glass and steel. When I stepped out into the cavernous marble lobby of Lumos Enterprises, the air itself seemed to hum with money and power. I bypassed the front desk entirely, flashing a black obsidian keycard the system had generated for me. The private executive elevator recognized it instantly, rocketing me up to the 100th floor. The doors chimed open to the boardroom level. As I walked down the plushly carpeted hallway, I heard a familiar, whiny voice leaking from a partially open office door. "Mr. Vance, I assure you, the recent rumors regarding my fiancé's public outburst are greatly exaggerated," Gabriel was saying, his tone dripping with sycophantic desperation. "The Black family is completely stable. We just need the Series C funding released by tomorrow, or our international shipping ports will default." I paused, pressing my back against the wall to listen. A deep, baritone voice answered. It was smooth, dangerous, and dripping with bored amusement. "Stable, Mr. Black? My intel suggests your fiancée practically detonated a Blanc family banquet last night, severed ties with her bloodline, and publicly questioned your virility. Is that what you call stable?" Julian Vance, the acting CEO and 49% shareholder of Lumos. A man rumored to be so ruthless he once bankrupted a rival firm just because their CEO mispronounced his name at a gala. Gabriel stammered. She's hysterical. We are institutionalizing her. It's a tragic mental health decline, Mr. Vance. It will not affect the merger, I swear on my life. My true partner going forward will be Bella Blanc, the sane, proper heiress. Rage flickered in my chest, but it was quickly swallowed by a chilling, euphoric wave of malice. Institutionalizing me. Again. They really only had one playbook. I kicked the door open. It hit the wall with a deafening crack. Both men snapped their heads toward me. Gabriel's face drained of color, his jaw dropping so fast it looked unhinged. "Marceline?" he gasped, leaping out of his chair. "What the hell are you doing here?" "Security. How did you get up here?" I ignored him entirely. My eyes locked onto the man sitting behind the sprawling mahogany desk. Julian Vance was devastatingly handsome, with high cheekbones, dark, calculating eyes, and the relaxed posture of an apex predator. He didn't look angry that a woman had just kicked his door in. He looked entertained. Gabriel, I'd sked, walking slowly into the room. "Didn't your mother ever teach you not to talk about women behind their backs? Especially when those women hold your pathetic little family's leash. Have you completely lost your mind?" Gabriel snarled, marching toward me, grabbing my upper arm. "You embarrassed me last night, and now you're trespassing at Lumos? Do you want to ruin my company too? Get out before I drag you out." System prompt. Unhinged retaliation required. Dislocate his shoulder. Reward, $10 million and the permanent deletion of Black Corp's data servers. I didn't even hesitate. I grabbed Gabriel's wrist, twisted my hips, and applied a brutal, agonizing torque.
Pop.
Ag. Gabriel screamed, falling to his knees as his shoulder popped cleanly out of its socket. He clutched his arm, writhing on the floor, spit flying from his lips. "You psycho. You fucking psycho bitch." "Oops," I smiled, dusting off my sleeves. "Must have slipped." Julian Vance slowly began to clap.
Clap. Clap. Clap.
"I must admit," Julian drawled, leaning forward and resting his chin on his steepled fingers. "When I was notified that a mysterious entity had forcefully bought out 51% of Lumos overnight, I was prepared for war. I envisioned a grizzled oil baron or a foreign conglomerate. I did not expect Marceline Blanc." Gabriel froze on the floor, his face pale with agony and shock. "Wait, what? 51%? Mr. Vance, she's delusional. She's penniless. Her father cut her off last night." I casually tossed the thick leather folder onto Julian's desk. He flipped it open, his dark eyes scanning the watermark certificates and the undeniable legal seals. A slow, wicked grin spread across his face. "It seems, Mr. Black, that your information is as outdated as your business model," Julian said softly. He looked up at me, his eyes gleaming with dark approval. "Hello, boss." Gabriel looked between us, his mind visibly short-circuiting. No, that's impossible. Marceline is an idiot. She dropped out of her business degree to follow me around. She doesn't have the capital." "Julian," I interrupted, stepping over Gabriel's groaning body to lean over the desk. I met Julian's gaze. "As the majority shareholder, I have a few immediate directives. I am entirely at your disposal," Julian murmured, his eyes dropping to my crimson lips for a fraction of a second before meeting my gaze again. First, I said, holding up a finger. Liquidate all assets tied to the Black Corp merger. Terminate their Series C funding. Trigger the immediate recall of all loans extended to the Blanc family. Gabriel let out a choked, strangled noise. Marceline, you can't. You'll bankrupt us both. My family will lose everything by Friday. Second, I continued, ignoring the insect on the floor. Blacklist them. If any company under the Lumos umbrella does so much as sell a paperclip to the Blancs or the Blacks, I want them dissolved. Julian's smile widened. It was the smile of a wolf watching a sheep wander into a bear trap.
Consider it done.
It will cost us a fraction of our quarterly profits to untangle the mess, but the market correction will be delightful. You're insane, Gabriel wailed, trying to stand but collapsing back down due to the pain in his shoulder. Bella is sick. She needs treatment. She needs funding. You're killing your own sister. I finally turned to look at him. I crouched down so we were eye to eye. Gabriel, I whispered, I don't care if Bella drops dead in the street. In fact, I'll buy the street, so I can charge an admission fee to watch. Now get out of my building before I have Julian security throw you out of a window. Julian pressed a button on his intercom. Security. A Mr. Black is currently bleeding on my rug. Please escort him to the curb, violently if necessary. Two massive men in black suits appeared within seconds, dragging a sobbing, babbling Gabriel out by his good arm. The door clicked shut behind them, leaving the office in heavy silence. Julian stood up. He was incredibly tall, towering over my already imposing heels. He walked around the desk, stopping mere inches from me. The scent of cedar and expensive cologne washed over me. You're a very dangerous woman, Marceline, he said, his voice dropping an octave. I built Lumos from the ground up. I don't surrender control easily. I didn't come here to micromanage you, Julian, I replied, holding my ground, tilting my chin up to meet his intense gaze. You can keep running the empire. I just want to use its weapons. He reached out, brushing a stray lock of hair behind my ear. The touch was burning hot. And who are we going to war with? Everyone who ever thought I was prey, I said. Good, Julian whispered. I was getting bored anyway. The fallout was catastrophic and instantaneous. By Wednesday afternoon, the financial markets were in a bloodbath. Lumos Enterprises had officially severed all ties with Blanc Industries and Black Corporation. The stock prices for both families plummeted by 80% in 4 hours. Banks, smelling blood in the water and seeing Lumos back out, immediately called in their massive debts. Sitting in my ultra-luxury apartment, I watched the chaos unfold on a massive holographic screen, sipping a $50,000 bottle of vintage champagne. My phone had been ringing incessantly. I had unblocked Damien just to enjoy his voicemails. Marceline, what the fuck did you do? Gabriel's company is in receivership. Dad is having a heart attack. Answer the phone, you bitch. We know it was you. Gabriel told us everything. I laughed, a genuine, bell-like sound that echoed in the empty penthouse. But the amusement faded when a new notification popped up on my system interface. Emergency alert. The Blanc family has entered a state of desperation. Bella Blanc's condition has supposedly worsened. They have hired underground mercenaries to breach Paradiso Castle, kidnap the host, and forcibly extract blood and bone marrow for Bella. ETA, 10 minutes. I lowered my champagne glass. My eyes turned glacial. In my past life, they had done exactly this. When I refused to give bone marrow because my own body was failing, they drugged my tea, strapped me to a gurney, and harvested it anyway. I woke up in agony, only to be told I was selfish for complaining while Bella was recovering. System, I said aloud. What are my defensive options? Host currently has a balance of $215 million in liquid cash. You may purchase the Apex Predator Defense Protocol for $50 million. This includes 10 elite, fiercely loyal, heavily armed ex-Special Forces guards who will teleport to the premises instantly, alongside a mastery-level upgrade in hand-to-hand combat for the host. Buy it. Transaction complete. Combat mastery integrated. Guards deployed. A sudden, sharp headache spiked behind my eyes as years of lethal martial arts, situational awareness, and anatomical weak points downloaded directly into my brain. When I opened my eyes, the world moved slower. I felt the precise weight of my own muscles. I was a weapon. Silent as ghosts, 10 men clad in tactical black gear materialized in my living room. They wore terrifying balaclavas and carried suppressed submachine guns. Orders, boss. The captain, a towering man with a scarred eye, asked, bowing his head. They're coming through the private elevator, I said, my voice eerily calm. I want them alive. Break their legs, tie them up. Then we make a delivery. 3 minutes later, the reinforced doors of my private elevator hissed open. 5 thugs wielding tasers and syringes stepped out, confident they were grabbing a helpless, spoiled heiress. They didn't even have time to scream. My guards descended on them like a pack of wolves. The sickening crunch of bone, the muffled thuds of suppressed strikes, and it was over in less than 30 seconds. The thugs lay moaning on my floor, their kneecaps shattered. I walked over to the leader, who was staring at me with wide, terrified eyes. I reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. The screen showed an active call from Damien. I pressed speaker. "Did you get the bitch?" Damien's voice barked over the line. "Don't bruise her too much. The doctor needs her heart rate stable for the extraction." I smiled, though my eyes were completely dead. "Hello, Damien." A sharp intake of breath on the other end. "Marceline, where are my men?" "They had a little accident," I purred. "But don't worry, big brother. I'm feeling very generous today. Since you want to see me so badly, I'll bring myself over." "Oh, and Damien?" "What?" he stuttered, the bravado finally cracking. "Prepare a coffin, because someone in that house is dying tonight." I hung up the phone. I turned to my captain. "Load these trash bags into the vans. We're going to the Blanc Manor."
Ding.
5-star madness quest unlocked. Storm the castle. Destroy the Blanc family's facade and expose Bella. Reward: the absolute deed to all Blanc properties and $500 million. The Blanc Manor was a sprawling, gaudy estate on the outskirts of the city. Usually, it was crawling with private security, but thanks to the financial ruin I had unleashed that morning, the staff had already fled. My black van smashed through the wrought iron front gates, tearing up the immaculate lawn. I stepped out into the night rain, flanked by my 10 heavily armed guards. We dragged the broken mercenaries up the marble steps. I didn't bother knocking. One of my men kicked the heavy oak doors off their hinges. The sound echoed like a bomb. In the grand foyer, the entire miserable family was gathered. My father, Richard Blanc, clutching his chest. My mother, Lucy, weeping into a handkerchief. Magnus, sitting in a wheelchair looking like a battered mummy from his pool fall. And Damien, holding a pathetic little pistol with trembling hands. And there, draped dramatically over a chaise lounge in the center, was Bella. She wore a pristine white nightgown, an oxygen tube taped under her nose, looking like a fragile, dying angel. "Marceline," Richard roared, though his voice cracked with fear. "You ungrateful wretch. You ruined us. And now you bring thugs into our home." "Put the gun down, Damien," I said, ignoring my father. I snapped my fingers. My guards tossed the 5 mercenaries onto the marble floor. They groaned, clutching their broken legs. Damien dropped the gun. It clattered uselessly onto the floor. "You're a monster," Lucy sobbed, running to shield Bella with her body. "Look what you've done. Bella is dying. Her heart is failing, because of the stress you caused. If you had just let her wear the dress, none of this would have happened." I laughed. The sheer absurdity of it all cracked me up. I laughed so hard my stomach ached, the sound echoing off the vaulted ceilings. "Her heart is failing?" I chuckled, wiping a tear from my eye. I stepped forward, my guards parting like the Red Sea. "Bella's heart is perfectly fine, Mother. It's always been fine." Bella flinched, her eyes widening in perfect, calculated innocence. "Marcy, how can you say that? It hurts so much. Please just give me a little blood, just to stabilize me." "Shut up, you manipulative little parasite," I snarled, my voice dropping the playful tone entirely. System prompt: utilize truth serum dart. Cost: $1 million. Effect: target cannot lie for 10 minutes. Purchase. I flicked my wrist. A microscopic, invisible dart shot from my system inventory, burying itself instantly in Bella's neck. She slapped her hand to the spot, looking confused. "Let's play a game, Bella," I said, slowly circling her chaise lounge. My family watched in paralyzed terror, held back by the assault rifles my men casually leveled at them. "Tell me, how is your heart right now?" Bella opened her mouth, perfectly preparing to say, "It's failing, I'm dying." Instead, her mouth moved, and what came out was, "My heart is completely healthy. It beats perfectly normal. I just drank a cup of hot sauce to raise my temperature." Silence. Absolute, suffocating silence fell over the room. Lucy froze, staring down at her adopted daughter. "Bella, what did you just say?" Bella's eyes widened in sheer panic. She clamped her hands over her mouth, but the truth serum was absolute. The words tore themselves from her throat against her will. "I've been faking my heart condition for 6 years, Bella confessed, her voice rising in a hysterical, unstoppable squeak. "I bribed Dr. Evans to falsify the medical reports. I just wanted attention. I wanted Marceline's things. I hate Marceline because she's prettier than me and actually rich." Richard stumbled back, clutching his chest for real this time. "Faking? 6 years, the surgeries, the transfusions." Oh, the transfusions were real, Bella babbled, tears streaming down her face as her mouth betrayed her darkest secrets. I just threw the blood away. I poured Marceline's blood down the sink. It made me feel powerful to know she was suffering in a hospital bed while I was eating caviar in the VIP wing. Magnus tried to stand up from his wheelchair, his face twisting in absolute revulsion. You pour it down the sink? We made Marceline give you marrow. She almost died. I know, Bella shrieked, desperately trying to bite her own tongue, but the magic of the system compelled her. I loved it. I seduced Gabriel, too. He's so stupid and bad in bed, but I did it just to take him away from her. I'm the one who stole the engagement dress and hid it in my closet. Damien fell to his knees, staring at the fragile, angelic sister he had protected his whole life. His entire worldview was shattering, the glass shards tearing his mind apart. You lied? Every time I hit Marceline to protect you. You were lying? Yes, Bella sobbed, scratching at her own throat. I manipulated all of you because you're pathetic and easy to control. You're all just my stepping stones. I stood there, watching the Blanc family implode. The satisfaction coursing through my veins was a drug more potent than anything on earth. Well, I said loudly, breaking the heavy, traumatized silence. That was incredibly enlightening. Marceline, Lucy whispered, turning to me, her eyes hollow, pleading. Marceline, we didn't know. Oh my God, my baby, we didn't know. She took a step toward me, reaching out her hands. Please forgive us. We'll kick her out. We'll throw Bella on the streets. You're our true daughter. I looked at the woman who had birthed me, who had stood by while I was locked in an asylum in my past life. I raised my hand and slapped her. The crack resonated through the hall. Lucy spun and collapsed onto the floor, holding her cheek in utter shock. Don't you dare touch me, I sneered. Don't you dare pretend this is only her fault. She gave you an excuse to be the monsters you always were. You loved having a scapegoat. You loved having someone to abuse. Bella didn't make you hit me, Damien. Bella didn't make you cut my cards, father. You did that because you are rotting, putrid garbage. I turned to my guards. Clear out. We're done here. As I turned to walk away, Richard yelled out in a raspy, desperate voice. Marceline, you can't leave us. The bank is foreclosing tomorrow. We have nothing. Where are we supposed to go? I paused at the doorway, looking back over my shoulder. The rain was howling outside now. Funny you should ask, I smiled. I recently purchased the Serenity Hills Psychiatric Asylum, the one you were scouting to lock me in. I've prepaid for 4 permanent suites. You'll love it there. I hear the electroshock therapy does wonders for family bonding.
Ding.
5-star madness quest completed. Storm the castle. Reward, $500 million and absolute deeds to all Blanc properties transferred. I walked out into the rain, leaving the screams and the weeping of the Blanc family behind me. Epilogue. 6 months later. The penthouse at Paradiso Castle was warm, the fireplace crackling as snow fell over the city skyline. I stood by the glass window, wearing a silk robe that cost more than a small car, holding a glass of scotch. Behind me, the massive holographic television was playing the local news. And in an update to the shocking downfall of the once prominent Blanc family, authorities report that former socialite Bella Blanc was involved in another altercation at the Serenity Hills Asylum today. Facility directors state she continues to suffer from delusions of grandeur, repeatedly claiming she is a wealthy heiress. Meanwhile, Gabriel Black, former CEO of the now-defunct Black Corp, was seen working his 3rd shift at a local sanitation facility to pay off his mounting, insurmountable debts. I smiled, taking a slow sip of the scotch. It tasted like absolute victory. A pair of strong arms wrapped around my waist from behind. Julian pressed a soft kiss to my neck, his stubble grazing my skin. Enjoying the misery of your enemies, boss? He murmured, his voice rumbling against my back. Always, I replied, leaning back into his embrace. Did the acquisition of the European ports go through? Flawlessly, Julian said, turning me around so I faced him. His dark eyes were filled with that same intoxicating, dangerous obsession that had been there since the day I kicked his door in. Lumos is practically a sovereign nation at this point, and it's all yours. Ours, I corrected, trailing a finger down the lapel of his shirt. In my last life, I died a broken, discarded dog. I humbled myself for love and received torture. In this life, I chose madness. I chose vengeance. I chose power. And as Julian leaned in to kiss me, claiming the mouth of the most feared, unhinged villainess the corporate world had ever seen, I knew one thing for absolute certain. I was never going back. System final notification. Host has achieved absolute supremacy. The madness reward system will now enter hibernation mode. Enjoy your empire, Queen.